Hello. Hope you guys doing fantastic today. It's time to talk about life and energy shield in PoE 2. About a week ago, over a week ago, I made a video about defenses in PoE 2, and in this video, I mentioned that I don't want to talk about ES because I haven't played it yet and haven't tested it. Guess what? As you might probably see from my energy shield bar, I have played with ES at this point. I have tested it, and I'm confident that I can give you some advices and have a discussion on life, on energy shield, and where these two defenses stand right now in PoE 2. Um, things might change. We have a big patch coming today, but yeah. In this video, I'm going to talk about pros and cons of life, energy shield, how do they compare with each other, and yeah, we're going to have a discussion. And I don't know. Let's see. Maybe life is better. Maybe energy shield is better. Spoiler: energy shield is better. But yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Few things before we're gonna get into it. Number one, for people that were interested in my monk, right? The build guide that will be coming, that I said that will be coming. When it comes to monk, I started it level 92 already. I'm working on it. Um, but here's the catch. I wanted to test Pillar of Caged God just out of curiosity, right? It took me about 5 minutes to realize that the last mod, the reason why people consider like this Pillar of the Caged God with triple, with the like attribute stacking build, why they consider that the strongest build in the game is like for some time I couldn't quite, get a grasp why that is, but I figured it out. It's because Pillar of Caged God compared to PoE1 increases weapon damage per 5 strength. And this is something that will get 100% nuked. Pillar of Caged God is going to get changed into 10% increased physical weapon damage per 5 strength. I guarantee you, I guarantee, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen because the way it currently works is that this 10% increased weapon damage scales all your damage from all of your gear. Guess what that means? That means that with Hova, this 1 to 10 lightning damage to attacks per 10 intelligence stacks and scales with this. For instance, PoE 1 is notorious for being a game with insane power creep. There isn't a single mechanic in PoE 1 that scales weapon damage that is as strong as this interaction in PoE 2 right now. That is most likely not intended. And that is most likely an oversight just because they made Hand of Wisdom and Action a pair of gloves. In PoE 1, this is the weapon. So they didn't have to think about it. In PoE 2, this is a pair of gloves, and it scales with this weapon like just stupid amount. So I wouldn't expect, guys, if you want to invest into this build, like if you want to do a triple stacker, first of all, it's quite expensive. Secondly, I would probably wait until at least today's patch notes for the patch for the next patch that GG is going to reveal, because something tells me that this weapon is going to change into 10% increased physical weapon damage per 5 strength, which will make this build completely different. Because the only way, you will still be able to triple stack, but like it's going to be nowhere near as powerful as it is right now. Nowhere near. It's going to lose like 5 to 7 to 10 times the damage. You will be able to mitigate that a little bit by getting like physical damage on your rings as high as physical as possible and scaling with ingenuity. But this is I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure that was just an oversight, and the only reason why this build feels like is so strong, right, is basically because this is an oversight. So I am expecting it to get nuked. Yeah, that's all there is to it. When it comes to the big patch that is planned for today, I am going to read the changes, and tomorrow, most likely, I'm going to make a video. I'm going to go through the changes and tell you guys what these changes mean for us melee players. If you're interested, let me know down in the comments if you want to see videos like that in the future. I'm going to be making them, like with big changes, patch notes, stuff like that. I totally can. If you're interested to like hear me ramble about these things for like 30 minutes or 20 minutes or something, I'm going to do them. All right, life versus ES. Let's get into it. So I prepared myself, a little notepad here, and let's start with life. So first, pros. The first pro of the first pro of life is very good recovery. So it's very, very easy to recover life in this game. Very easy. You have, I'm going to start with probably the worst one. Physical damage leached as life. First of all, physical damage builds don't do that amazingly well so far. We only have maces to begin with. The rest is pretty much conversion. Even some of the mace attacks convert damage to fire. So Bleach is probably not that good of an indicator, but you can recover life with your regeneration. You can get plenty of implicits like corrupted, for example, rings or helmets that will give you % regeneration. There is an implicit on armor, on body armor, that will give you 2.5 up to 2.5% regen per second. If you play Titan, you will get additional regeneration thanks to hulking form, and there is like a 0.5% regen. 1% regen from herbal. No, it's not herbalism. It's a persistent support that gives you 1% regen, right? You can get to like rather easily 10% regen and then scale it with your passive tree. So I think that without like insane amount of investments, getting something like 15 to 20% life regeneration is definitely doable. And then on top of that, you have life flasks, which is absolutely massive. You have recoup potentially if you want to invest into that. Long story short, life is going to be very easy to recover. And in the middle of the fight, when you're going to drop to like, I don't know, 2/3 or like 1/3 of your HP, there is going to be a very good chance that you will be able to recover back to full life very quickly. I forgot about probably one of the most important ones, which is life on kill, which by the way is going to get absolutely nuked. Because life on kill and energy shield on shocked enemy recovery and stuff like that, I feel like currently in the game they're just too strong. Because the way it works is that once you kill like a monster pack, you pretty much always recover to full life. It doesn't matter what your HP is right now. You're going to kill a monster pack and your life is full after that pack. So I think that unless this is where they're heading with this game, the sources of recovery on kill will just get destroyed. Maybe not destroyed, but nerfed by at least 50%. Because, as I mentioned before, the best thing about this is that these sources completely ignore less recovery mods. So if you're going to have 80% less recovery of life, mana, and energy shield or something like that in your map, this ignores it. This life on kill does not care. So you still kill the pack and you still recover all of your life. It's just like exactly the same. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to be talking about, I mean, we will be talking about balance later, but currently I think it's too strong, but there are other things simultaneously that are too weak. So, it's important to mention. That being said, it's very, very, very easy to recover life, and, this is a cool thing about it. Life is also decent early game. So, for example, early on in the game, I would definitely prefer to invest into life over energy shield during campaign. We're talking like, from Act 1 to 6 or Act 1 to 5 or something like that. Life feels good because from very early, there's a good amount of life you can get on your equipment. You can get up to plus 80 life or something like that as soon as Act 2 on your rings if you're lucky. Strength gives you a lot of life. And on the passive tree, there is a lot of travel nodes. So if you decide your travel nodes to be strength, that will be giving you a lot of life at the same time, a plus 10 per passive node, right? Excuse me. Life, generally speaking, is going to keep you nice and pretty during the campaign. I tried to do Energy Shield in comparison. I know we're talking about life right now, but Energy Shield doesn't feel as good. I think that life during campaign really does its purpose. Life has other problems, but during the campaign, you're going to get some life from your equipment. You're going to get some life from strength. You're going to get potentially some strength from your equipment, and that will amass to a very decent amount of life that, as we established 2 minutes before, you will be able to recover rather nicely and rather quickly. So life is pretty nice when it comes to that. And gear, live gear is very cheap. That is not entirely true though. What I mean by that is that armor live gear is cheap. The evasion gear is not very cheap because evasion. We're gonna talk about evasion at the very end, by the way. But when it comes to armor live gear, it's very cheap. You can get like armor pieces with a lot of life for not very much. You can get stuff like Mortar Invictus with life for not very much because people just don't use it. People just prefer to stack Energy Shield, right? Um, Rings, like, I was buying a lot of stuff since the beginning of early access for both, actually for all three types. So for armor, evasion, and Energy Shield. And I'll tell you that by far the armor equipment is the cheapest. Energy Shield, of course, is the most expensive. Also, the Energy Shield plus Evasion bases. Evasion plus Life is also quite expensive, but not as much. Armor with Life is by far the cheapest, and you can get it for just quite cheap, right? Also, other stuff like Mortar Invictus, if you want to increase your life, is going to be cheap / very cheap. Other stuff that will increase your life, for example, I don't know, Zov's Blood Amulet, it's literally 1x. You can increase your life from Grand Spectrum Jewels, which are very cheap at this point as well. So there, if you want to increase your life, it's not going to cost you very much, and these increases in life will be effective because, with no life on the tree, 18% increased life, for example, from Zov's Blood is essentially 80% more life. So it's very powerful. All right. When it comes to life's cons, it's difficult to stack a lot. And this is a problem that majority of people deal with, and why they say that life sucks so much. It is difficult to stack a lot, but it's not impossible. If you invest into life very heavily, so as I mentioned before, simple like Zov's Blood, Grand Spectrums, Mortar Invictus, there's some other ways. If you, for example, play Gemling Legionnaire and stack Strength, if you play Titan, there are ways to stack life. Here's the problem: majority of people don't. New players and PoE 1 players that never really invested into defense, I feel like they don't really try to figure out how to get a lot of life. At least they didn't in the beginning, because after that they switched to ES, and it's just stacking a lot of life is going to be difficult, and this connects to the next con at the same time. If you don't get enough, it feels bad. These problems kind of like intertwined, like they're connected, because people don't realize that 2,000 there's no difference between 2,000 life and 3,000 life. If you're just not investing into it, life will just not feel good right now in its current state in this game. To fix that, I feel like GG is going to add life to the tree. Like, I'm dead serious. I think that they will scrap their original plan, and they will literally add at least few clusters to the tree, and they will increase the amount of life you will be able to get, on the tree, and perhaps from the gear as well. because while it works, the reason, for example, why my Molten Titan build worked and it felt good from the very beginning, from the very first day of early access, was because I really tried to invest into life and pretty much get every single piece of life equipment that I could get, and get it as high as possible, and get strength as high as possible. And I was able to get to 5 to or 6k life very, very quickly. I think it was day 4, day 5 or something. With this amount of life, as we established, with very good recovery, life started feeling good. It did not feel that good when you had 3 or 3.5k, because you would get sometimes overwhelmed. People shooting projectiles, monsters shooting projectiles, and you would die occasionally. It makes absolutely massive difference. The jump from 3,000 to 6,000. I don't have to explain why, right? This is an absolutely huge jump, and many people are, the newer players, or people used to how the PoE looked like in PoE 1. They just didn't. They didn't get any. Like they decided to go like 2,500, 3k. And I understand that, compared to a Titan, like for example, Rangers have very, very limited possibilities to get, like 5,000-6,000 life. But that's kind of like, that's the class. Like you're gonna currently, if you don't stack a lot, you're going to get killed very quickly. And at the same time, I don't know how GG is going to fix that problem, because if classes like Rangers will be able to get to 4,000 or 5,000 life quickly and easily, that means that classes that are actually meant, like, you will be able to get to up to 15,000 life and get virtually immortal on a class that is supposed to get a lot of life, like Titan, for example, or Genuine Legionnaire. So I don't know how GG is going to fix that. I think that adding few clusters, not too many, few life clusters in every place in the tree would kind of solve the problem, so that every class, if they wanted to, would have some access to life. But I'm pretty sure this is the main reason why so many people complained and they were getting killed, because even me, like, I had many comments in my in my video guide and other places, where people were asking, yo, I have like 2,400 life on my Titan, level 84. Like, how did you get to 7k life? Now, if you have 2,400 life on Titan at level 84, I have to admit you're probably naked or something, because I don't know, man. I don't know how people get to such ridiculously low amount of life, to be honest. But here is the average. Here is the experience of an average player. They get 2,500, 3k, maybe 4,000 life, some of them, and they just die very quickly. And they don't know better. They don't know, like, they're just like items that give you percent life, and you can actually get like 6k rather quick, like rather easily. It's not that difficult. They don't know, and GG will have to deal with that. So, but yeah, that's life more or less. Next up, we have Energy Shield. And Energy Shield, boys, is pretty strong. If you haven't noticed, I'm currently sitting at 22,000 Energy Shield, my hideout, on my Invoker. And honestly, I could get on this build to about 30,000 rather easily. But let's get into it. So the main pros of Energy Shield: number 1, you can stack in insane amounts of Energy Shield. We're not talking about price right now, because it's going to be expensive. We're not talking about anything like that. Energy Shield just scales too much right now in Path of Exile. They meant to balance this by giving you many penalties and like making Energy Shield awkward at times. The fact that the recharge starts after 4 seconds instead of 2 in PoE 1, and do many other things that will make it, so that this massive amount of Energy Shield will get kind of like some weaknesses. But that's not the case, and you can just stack ridiculous amounts. You can get up to, I believe, 1,100 for like insane pieces. For like just very good pieces, you can get about 1,000 Energy Shield, flat Energy Shield on your body armor. You can get stuff like Ghost Ride that will convert your life to energy shield. That's going to be very powerful. Especially if you, for example, have some strength, that flat life is going to convert to energy shield, is going to give you a massive amount. There is a helmet that gives you additional energy shield based off of your life. There is this amulet that gives you up to 30% maximum mana as extra maximum energy shield. There's just like it's it's not, I'm not even done because like I'm doing kind of like a triple stack on this build, right? Once I realized that Pillar of the Caged God is just virtually just too broken, so I scrapped whatever I was doing and I just started doing this, right? There is a jewel like this, Heroic Tragedy. Guess what it does? Once you allocate, this is deeds by the line of Vorana. That's because there's three different ones, right? Three different bases for this jewel. And this one, once you allocate a keystone, does this thing. Strength's inherent bonus is 100% increased energy shield per 2 strength instead. That's right. I'm getting 128% increased energy shield from this jewel right now. Guess what? Dedicated stackers can get about, I don't know, 600 of each stat. That would be 300% increased energy shield from this jewel. And I don't lose anything because I don't care about strength on this version of this build. It gets even better because Gemling Legionnaire is going to get 600 with 600 strength. He will get 600% increased energy shield from this jewel because the inherent bonus is doubled. So that's not even everything what you can do to scale energy shield further. I'm not even kidding. I'm pretty sure that you could get to about 50,000 energy shield right now. Like on this build, I didn't even like min max like really anything. I have pathetic amount of stats, and I'm sitting at 22,000. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I can get to like 30,000 easily, and 30,000, especially on a build, just forget about acrobatics, right? 30,000 on a build without anything really, any other defensive mechanics. It's just so much that you will not really die. During maps, sometimes maybe in Simulacrum, maybe, but like all the bosses in the game that normally deal like 4 or 5,000 damage with their biggest slams, all of a sudden they don't do damage to you, and this is just such a massive amount that I don't know if GG is planning to make life better or energy shield worse or both, but energy shield needs something because another pro when it comes to energy shield is it basically has no weaknesses, and that's the biggest problem. Because energy shield, I feel like in PoE 2 was designed to have very high amounts but have big weaknesses. So they destroyed, compared to PoE 1, they destroyed the recharge start, right? It's 4 seconds instead of 2. So you take some damage, after 4 seconds you will start your energy shield recharge. Cool. Then the energy shield recharge is much worse. In PoE 1 it's 20% per second. In PoE 2 it's 12.5. So again, almost double the penalty. It's like 40% worse, right? So that's a very big number. And to compensate for that, GG said, "Oh, you'll have to invest into these nodes, right? You'll have to invest into like faster start recharge rate, faster start of energy shield recharge, and so on. Like, you'll at least have to invest a lot to make the recharge feel better." Guess what? You don't have to, because at the same time, I feel like GG forgot that they gave us some massive tools in order to recover energy shield and not even think about these nodes at all. For example, Grim Feast, which literally just by mapping, you can get up to double of your energy shield. And for killing monsters, you will keep on recovering energy shield over and over and over again. This is like almost like a energy shield leech, right? It's not quite the same, but it definitely feels especially if you kill monsters from afar. This will definitely keep your face nice and pretty, and it's most likely over. It's definitely overpowered, and it's going to get nerfed eventually. But that's not all. If you're, for example, there's a lot of different interactions that they can do to help yourself with energy shield recovery. For example, Ghost Dance. If you have a lot of evasion, this will recover your energy shield, and you have up to 5 stacks, so this will recover quite a bit. There is one more thing. There we go. Shock Siphon. Recover 4% of your energy shield when a supported skill deals a killing blow to a shocked enemy. So basically how it works is that you do lightning damage, you shock enemies. Take a wild freaking guess. What is the most popular damage type in the game right now? Yeah, it's lightning. Rangers do lightning. Obviously, Spark characters do lightning. Stormweavers. Take a look at this. What is like one of the most popular and powerful gloves in the game? It's Hova, and it does, you guessed it, lightning damage. So yeah, you basically like recover 4%. This is like cannibalism, but for energy shield, and it's way, way, way too strong again, because you'll be shocking people almost without investment by default, and this will allow you to shock people all the freaking time and recover all the energy shield in the world, which once again you can stack so much more of it, so this gets higher value by default. It's higher value support automatically. But we're not done. By basically no weaknesses, I mean, on top of that, GGG was like probably thinking like, oh, but like at least in PoE 1, people will like I don't know, make you bleed or like ignite you, and you'll struggle. You won't be able to recover your energy shield for a long time or something. I don't know. Guess what? In PoE 2, in that department, ES is even stronger, because you can't get monsters cannot inflict bleeding on you, because it needs to damage your life. If it doesn't damage your life, you can't be afflicted by bleeding. So like that's out of the question. Poison, of course, you're immune because you're chaos immune with chaos inoculation. I understand that not everybody is using chaos inoculation, but I feel like in that department, ES is once again even stronger than PoE 1, because chaos damage does not bypass energy shield. So if you want to play without CI, you can just have to stack a lot of chaos resistance, because chaos damage does double damage to energy shield as a trade-off, which I think is still better than PoE 1. And that's it. You don't even have to play CI if you don't want to. Other things that are supposed to hurt ES builds really bad. So stuns and freezes. There is a charm for freeze. You're not gonna have problems really. If you really want to deal with the freeze, there is this. There is this node over here. With the amount of life you can stack, the freeze after allocating this node is not going to be a problem ever again. The same with stuns, because many ES nodes at the same time increases your stun threshold. So again, problem solved by default by just getting the nodes that you would get anyway. It's just like they wanted to make energy shield like have problems, but at the same time they solved all the problems. Like there's gonna be some changes, guys. Is what I'm trying to say. There's gonna be some changes, because it's just kind of doesn't make sense like how good it is. It has some small weaknesses still. Ignite is annoying, Burning Ground is annoying, but honestly, with the amount of they would be annoying if you didn't have such ridiculous recovery. You can recover energy shield for days, and that would be one actually solid weakness that energy shield would have, but it doesn't. It doesn't have it, because you can recover it very, very easily with Grim Feast, with the shocking enemies and killing them. Of course, Invoker has Meditate, which is very strong in my opinion. It allows you to. This node is like super, super strong. Even against bosses, you can always have double energy shield. And guess what? With Meditate, the 4-second recharge starter that normally you have to wait for, You don't have to wait for that because this automatically starts your energy shield recharge once you click meditate. It has 8-second cooldown, but the skill is very very strong on Invoker. So it's like ES is a gift that keeps on giving, man. And like you should use it until you can, boys, because I don't think it's going to survive the nerf hammer. Honestly, I don't think it's going to survive incoming patch. All right, cons. Energy shield is very expensive. It's insanely expensive. It's like the most expensive gear, close to energy shield plus evasion basis. Yeah, if you want to get a lot, if you're smart about it, getting a lot of energy shield is not even going to be that hard because there is items like this. This one, admittedly, is very expensive, so I'm not saying that you can just do something like that and But to begin with, this is for specialized builds because you need to have a lot of strength to really use that to its full value. But items like this, which is extremely powerful and extremely cheap at the same time, you can get this and stack a lot of intelligence, get a lot of mana, get mana in your gear, boom, you have massive, massive amount of flat energy shield. And the only thing after that you have to do is to pick up some other energy shield nodes, and boom, you're probably sitting at 8,000 already, if not more. And then if you want to invest into better gear and everything, you can get up to 15,000 or something. Probably more than that. I mean, I have 11,000 already, and I have like, I don't even have a lot of energy shield passives. Like I didn't get this entire cluster. I didn't get clusters here. So, like you can get a lot of it, but it's expensive. But still, like you're not going to get this amount of life ever, as you can get energy shield. And one small con, I wouldn't really recommend going full energy shield in campaign, especially like first 3 or 4 acts. In my opinion, is a mistake. You're going to get to a situation where, for example, you have 500 life and 800 energy shield in like act, I don't know, 2 or 3, and during a boss fight, because these early acts are designed for longer boss fights. Generally speaking, you will not be one-shotting bosses like act 1 through 3. It's not going to happen. The fights are actually going to be slightly longer. So once you lose your energy shield, you're pretty much left with 500 life, and at this point, like your life flask is not going to help you. You're probably going to get one shot. So during campaign, it doesn't really feel that good, especially that you have to invest points. And early on, like what feels the best is to investing into as much damage as possible. Let's be honest. So like if there is one place where I would say that life has the edge over energy shield, is definitely in the early game, like very very early game, right? And that's it. Like I didn't want to make this video too long, and then guess what? I'm rambling for 33 minutes already. There is one more thing I want to talk about, is the comparison of armor, evasion, and energy shield at the same time. So I think that energy shield is in a very, 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 very strong state and will get nerfed. And what I'm going to say is going to perhaps surprise many people, but I think that evasion right now is perfect. They actually nailed the balance when it comes to evasion. It's not too weak, it's not too strong. I think that acrobatics, they nailed the penalty that you have to suffer to be able to avoid all the hits. 70% less evasion rating kind of feels perfect because you still have enough evasion to have a decent amount of evasion rating, right? And now you have a very powerful defensive mechanic of being able to like dodge every single hit, including boss hits. So evasion, it's not hard to stack too much of it. So by default, if you're sitting in this side of the tree, you can get evasion gear or evasion plus energy shield bases, and get decent amount of evasion as an additional defensive layer, basically. I don't know. I feel like evasion is just perfect. It really is, and it feels pretty good while mapping as well at the same time. I don't know. I can't say enough good things about it. I think that evasion is probably not going to be changed for quite some time. To me, it just feels perfect, spot on. I can't say the same. I can't say the same for armor. Armor right now is extremely weak. Unless you're playing a class that is literally dedicated to stack armor, like Titan, where Titan gets a lot of additional armor from the passive skills and from the ascendancy point. I think that armor is atrocious right now, and as we said in the defense video guide, um, for every class that is not supposed to build armor, armor is like 1 out of 10. It just cannot get worse. It's just so bad. For classes that actually are meant to build armor because they have synergies in their ascendancies, like Titan, I would say that armor is like 5 or 6 out of 10. It will do its job, right? You can get to like 20,000 armor with very little investment on Titan, and it will do its job. You can see the difference, but still, something needs to change because armor right now is it's just not it. I know that the main defensive mechanics in this game are life is technically not equal energy shield because energy shield is meant to be like a defensive mechanic like armor and evasion. But at this point, like it's just more of a comparison between life energy shield and armor evasion. And the way it looks right now, armor compared to energy shield sucks. Excuse me, life compared to energy shield sucks, and armor compared to evasion sucks. So I don't know if someone doesn't like melee on GG's side, but I'm just kidding, of course. But it's early access. There will be changes, which I'm really excited to see what they're gonna do in the patch today. And that's it. I've been rambling for long enough. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree, or if you have any questions. I could talk about. Look at me, I'm a freaking nerd, right? But I could talk about mechanics for like hours in PoE, and I'm probably going to be making more videos like this. If you're going to enjoy them, I will keep on making them and talk about mechanics and, hopefully share my knowledge and help someone building their characters. And once again, tomorrow I'm going to most likely release a video going over the balance patch that we will have today in like an hour or two. And let's see what melee is going to get, right? Because like nobody expects that melee will just literally get nerfed and that's it, right? Surely we're gonna get buffed guys, right? Surely. Yeah. Take care, guys. See ya next time.